Hey, welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. I'm Kevin McLemore. I am a show host, and I'm joined with my co-hosts, Andrea Lyman, Denise Lopes, and Naheem Garcia, all very, very special and talented people. I appreciate you so much getting up on this Sunday morning. We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we talk about quotes. This show originated around the 300 quotes that I had created for the contents of my book. I had always been curious, were these quotes just words that just kind of laid there on the page, or were there a conversation to be had? So we created this show just in order to have these quotes. Sometimes they're very uplifting. They make sense. They don't make sense. Sometimes they make you think. This production is brought to you by RMK Production and 10 United Podcast Network. Our mission is through the power, our story, and our voices is to uplift, inspire, and share experience and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. It's hard to believe after all this time I put all this stuff to memory. So today's quote is brought to you by something I saw on a sign. It says, when you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle than it ever did with you, you learn grace. Finding a space in your heart to forgive and to move forward reflects the love one has for him or herself. I'll explain to you how this attached to me, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it around the horn today. And Naheem Garcia, he's been up working, auditioning, doing all type of crazy stuff. Superstar in our presence. Love you, man. Love you, love you, love you. How's this quote land on you?
When you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle than ever it did with you, you learn grace. I guess what sits on my mind when I think about it is understanding that people are who they are, right? Their makeup is who they are. And once you understand that about them, and once you know how they tick, I guess it humbles you to know how to deal with them. Or at least it encourages you to learn how to deal with them. There's a responsibility with obtaining knowledge, especially knowledge of a person, knowing their weakness and their strength. And once you know these things about them, the humbleness of becoming, or the opportunity to become humble and gracious is a reality. I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I think for me, it's just about being humble and knowing that once you learn something about a person, that should empower you to understand how to deal with them. I think that's what I want to say.
No, I love that voice of yours. That's the reason why you. Hey, your interpretation is based on your interpretation. I mean, if you ask the same quote on Monday and Tuesday, Friday, you'll have a different, because of your experience that week, you'll have a different take on the same quote. So that's the reason why we put it out there. So there's no right or wrong answer to it, either the first or second part that I add to it. Naheem and I are two thorns amongst two roses. We're joined here with Denise Lopes, and she's got a different look, hair slicked back on her. We're to talk about the picture in the background and where it came from. Denise, how does this quote land on you?
This quote, it's very personal because knowing about like my father was never there for me, and what my husband did too with all the cheating, I had to learn, like when I read the book, The Three Agreements, don't take anything personally. I had to learn that the hard way. Like it made me think like it had nothing to do with me, because I always thought that I did something wrong. That's why my father was not there. Like I was not good enough. And after I had to learn, like he had his own struggle. He had his reasons that had nothing to do with me, and I had to forgive him for that. So I learned to let people be who they are, like you said, and whatever they do has nothing to do with me. It's what they deal with their life, and it's something that I have to think about how I feel, like what I would do again, because nobody will be me. Like if I'm a good person, I'm not going to expect somebody else to be a good person. So I'm not going to expect them to be me. So that's where I land with this. Like they can't be me, and I can't be in their shoes. And I have to understand and compassion and forgive people. That's one of my biggest things. I had to forgive my father and my ex-husband in order for me to move on and let them deal with their struggles and what they had to do.
That is so true. That is so true. So hopefully our listeners caught that message, you have to go ahead and free yourself and allow them to deal with their issues. It has nothing to do about you. The other Rose on our panel, Miss Andrea Lyman. I can't believe you guys get up every single morning and this is the way you look.
No, it is not. It is not the way I look when I get up in the morning.
No, my hair's like this.
Yes.
I have a bonnet. I wear a bonnet, remember?
Yeah, I it's very much not the way I look when I wake up in the morning. This took
You
some,
look beautiful, like always.
well, thanks, but this took some exterior work. Anyway, this quote, it's sort of like lands on me a little bit there, but for the grace of God go I. I think about times just on almost a lighter level. I remember I used to look at people when they had like a toddler, a 2-year-old, and the child would say, "Pick me up," and the person would say, "No, you can walk. You can walk yourself." And I would just think, it's just a little kid. It's a baby. Why can't you pick them up? And I'd actually give a look. And then I was visiting my nephew's family when he was 2. And we had traveled, he'd stayed with me, and then I had him, and we were touring around San Antonio during a heat wave. It was, and he was saying, pick me up, and it was so hot. And I just said, no, you can walk. And some young ladies, like in their 20s, looked at me like, and I thought, oh, okay. That's it. I absolutely deserved that. And I have found that many times when you look at somebody and judge or whatever, and then it comes around and you're in that place, it teaches you, no, don't judge people. And that's happened a few times. So I always try not to judge, no matter what I'm seeing, no matter what I see people do. Try it, no matter how people treat me. And most times it is parent to child where you're the most judgmental, at least for me. I used to be a social worker and everything. So then you see the worst, but then you also see what the other person has been through. So it's not easy, but you have to sit back and say, what are they going through? But like it's caretaker to child or vulnerable person where you're most likely to be judgy, and you just don't know what that person is going through.
Yeah, you're so true. So for our listeners, when you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle than it ever did with you, you learn grace. I say finding the space in your heart to forgive and to move forward reflects the love that you have within yourself. So normally when we bring these quotes, the person that brought the quote normally elaborates on how that quote landed on them. I had shared briefly with Andrea before we started recording. We're all going through something. We've all been through something. Every last one of us on this planet has had something happen to us, have been betrayed by someone or whatever the case may be. And we've carried that forward into life, into relationships, and sometimes beyond. We carry it with us, and those questions go unanswered. When I originally wrote this quote down, the one thing that happened is that my father died years ago on Christmas Eve. And my mother, his first wife, came, and I watched my brothers and sisters all gather around her. For those of you that have not read my book, Indispensable Gains of X's and O's, I share the story of how as an 8 or 9-year-old, I came home one day and my life changed. My mother had moved to Beverly Hills 9021, and she had moved on with another partner, leaving my father to raise the kids behind. And so that's the story of my life. I grew up lying to everyone that was in my life. So those of you that have known me through my life that I have not, I ask for your forgiveness, because I told everyone my mother was dead. That was my coping skills. I had to deal with that at 35 years of age when she showed back up in my life. My brothers and sisters all embraced her. I struggled. I had nothing to do with it. But it wasn't until the day that I realized that my kids had every right to know who their mother was. And I had a conversation with her. As long as we were moving forward and not revisiting the past, my kids had the right to know who their grandmother was. And I found forgiveness in that. I found grace within myself. Although I have to admit, I still struggle with abandon issues. I've had multiple relationships that partners have went outside the relationship and cheated on me, and I have probably responded poorly. And I try to correct that. But when I listen to a friend and I ask this question, how this was interpreted, there's a young lady that shows up on Facebook, and I know her story of her personal life. She's always struggling, and there's always something wrong with themselves. And a lot of times when you find it difficult or a challenge to forgive someone else or defend a position based on you wanting to be right and not listening to the opposite side, that's a direct reflection of something you have not dealt with yourself. So with this quote, when you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with the internal struggles of what's in yourself, you have to understand, God forgave a man that put a spear between his rib. And who are we to say we're greater than God if we cannot forgive? We have to learn. Life is rough. Life is hard. Life is challenged. But what makes it beautiful is the fact that every Sunday morning at 9 a.m., 9:05, or whatever case may be, Ife, Naheem, David, Denise, Andrea, some others show up every single Sunday to give their time, share their wisdom, share their love. And we are all changing our lives within. And because of what we put out into the world, I believe each and every last one of us is making the world a better place. So if you adapt this hashtag, find 1,000 reasons to be kind to someone, allow yourself to be kind to yourself first. So with that said, let's go around the horn. Naheem, let's catch up. What's been going on in the week with you?
Well, I have the August Wilson Young Voices National High School Monologue Competition. We just did the finals for that, so we have 2 young ladies going to Chicago for that. And April 3rd, we have the next narrative National High School Monologue Competition, and we'll see what 2 students will be going to New York for that on nationals. Other than that, it looks like I will be doing the narration for the King Embrace documentary. So
Wow.
I did it for the monument. Now I'm going to do it for the documentary.
Hooray!
That's at least they told me they told me to send them my information to send to SAG. So I guess it's
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That is
I'm
goodness.
so proud of you.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lucky to know you.
I'm about to cry.
Oh my God.
And on top of it, we're getting ready to do our SSBC AS workshop, and it was the April 22nd, Andrew.
Yes, Saturday, April 22nd.
And at that place, we should be reading a scene from somebody's movie.
Who's somebody?
Kevin McLemore. He's a guy out of Philadelphia. Wrote a couple of good books and some scripts. So that's what's happening. So Denise, we expect to see you April 22nd since you're in Boston.
Yeah, I have it on my
Okay.
calendar.
So
You guys you have to send me the information so I can know where to go. I'm gonna take over because I don't like driving into Boston.
all right.
So I will. My cohort over there. One of us will
I'll
remember
pick
to
you
do
up.
that.
I'll drive. I'll pick
You drive. It's gonna be a way. You gotta come all the way here, go back to
Yeah,
Boston.
she's in Brockton. She's even further out, so
Yeah,
she
so
could probably be better off taking the train.
Another hour don't make a difference.
I'll take the train or the Uber. So
Yeah,
I'll be there.
because the place I'm recommending for you is gonna be right down in because our event is gonna be at the
Bowling
at the
center.
bowling. So I'm thinking either the Residence Inn, which is down the street, or the Hampton Inn, which is down the street.
All
Because
right.
in my little 2-bedroom apartment with our oldest child, it's not gonna work out.
Hey, I'm just gonna check. Hey, I grew up in a house with 13 people. I know what it's like to get a pillow and a blanket and go in a corner and call it a queen size bed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Denise, what's up with you? I know you're working on your book.
Yeah, my book and my the guy that's designing, he got sick, so he went to a regular checkup and he had to have emergency surgery. So I'm
Mm.
waiting for him. He needs 6 weeks to recover, so I'm working on that. I have to send him some pictures. I have applied at my school because they didn't have a newcomers program for the ESL kids. I went to talk with the superintendent, told him we needed one. So I applied for the job and I got it. So next year I'll be
Congratulations.
starting the newcomers program and with the kids because they're struggling. They're just throwing them in the classroom and they're just staying because they don't speak English. So they're going to be
Hmm.
staying with me for at least a year or half a year. And after I'll send them to the regular classroom. So I'm going to be doing the curriculum, everything. So it's going to be a challenge, but I'm up to it.
Hell yeah.
Hey,
If anyone
Yeah.
needs
Is the
some help,
doctorate program coming along too?
It's starting September. Yep,
No
I start in
way.
September at Northeastern. Yeah,
I am so proud.
Northeastern, great
I
place.
am so
Wow.
yeah.
proud of you.
That's what I got my master's in education from.
All right, all these
Yeah.
smart.
And that's what I just ran around chasing people. So that's the person.
Andrea, what's going on with you?
Just auditioning, sending in auditions for things, doing a lot of what I call acting adjacent work, where I play standardized patient for medical school students or doctors, or sometimes the lawyer thing I did also this week, where I'm going to be involved in a mock trial. I'm gonna for
Awesome.
lawyers. Last week it was public defenders learning how to do a cross-examination, and then this week it's a lawyer with a case that's kind of interesting, where they're trying to have the hospitals filing for guardianship over this woman, and so I'm on the stand saying why I should be remain independent.
Wow,
So
that's
kind
right.
of, yeah, and
Awesome.
they're real cases, so you learn about it.
Sounds
Yeah,
like fun.
that
Mhm.
And
sounds like
tonight
love.
I'm doing a reading of a play. So
Which play?
it is, oh my goodness, how can I forget? I'm playing Ember. I Oh wow. It's with this company called Greenhouse, and Homesick is the name of the play.
Homesick.
All right.
We wouldn't have heard about it because he just wrote it. That's why he's having the reading to
Well, it's a
see.
private reading. Okay.
Yeah, for Greenhouse
For him. Yep. So he could
Ensemble.
develop.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to tell you, Kim. So a lot of times, some of these readings are more for you than they are for the audience. By the time the audience is getting it, you got a finished product. You just want a little extra what the audience might feel like, but you're really rolling with it. So
Mhm.
the private ones are very good, and I encourage anybody who writes any kind of screen or play to encourage as many of those as possible, because somebody bringing your words to life, it gives a different perspective when you're creating the work. So,
Mhm.
you know, we can even do that with poems, Miss Denise.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm gonna record more of them. I only have one. So my friend was like, "Why don't you come in by the studio?" Because I have a friend, he has a studio. All I have to do is go there.
Right. And
Nice.
you can invite several people to come
Yeah, and read it. Yeah.
and read a couple of poems, read a poem. That's like one of the monologues that's being done by one of my students is by Francesca de Silviana, who
This
is
is
from
it.
Georgia. Yeah, who's from Dorchester, who has gone and become a great playwright. She's Cape Verdean. And one of my students is doing it. And I'm like, there's a lot of important playwrights coming out of Boston. There's a lot of screenwriters coming out of Boston. And it's important to make sure that Boston is seen and heard, and that producers and directors keep coming here. And we want to make sure that they have an infrastructure by creating the kind of talent that should be here for them. So they don't have to keep bringing in outsiders, you
Mhm.
know? So we
Yeah.
encourage everybody to come back home.
Well, don't forget about your little brother here over here outside of Philadelphia. You know,
Yeah, we got him. We
I,
getting. As a matter of fact, I got a suggestion with the team because I thought we were gonna do a pick and a hat, but I really think it should be tighter than that. So we might have
yep,
to, we might have to cast it and then let people just check it out, and
yeah,
then go into as an example
I totally agree with that.
because
So
I want it to be tight. But that's me and the team and I got to decide that. So
That makes sense. And the other thing for the readings, it's always good to just get a bunch of actors, and professional actors will love to do this kind of a thing. So a lot of times somebody writes something, and when you wrote it, it sounded one way, but when the actors are reading it, the biggest thing that I notice a lot when I'm reading scripts is the lack of and now the word is not coming to me, so I'm just going to say it. People say like do not, cannot, and people don't say that. They say don't, can't. It's those little things like that in a reading, and also just sometimes the words when they're read aloud sound different than
then in your head,
when you're reading it. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's what helps, because you hear the actor and it's a professional actor, they're stumbling over a sentence and like, I hadn't thought that. Okay, let me see what it is if I switch that up a little bit. That's
Mhm.
where it helps. It's those little things. Or I could have said that in 4 words instead of a paragraph.
you're exactly right. And the nice thing about it for our listeners, you know, that tune in every single Sunday for the motivational quote, you know, I get a lot of feedback that people like to know what's going on after the show happens. And that's the reason why we let this run live. And, you know, we get to know who our guests are. We showcase their talents. And for those people that are in the entertainment world, you have to realize no matter what color or skin color you may write the character for, there are a lot of actors out there that can be that person. You don't have to lay on the line unless you're doing an actual true story. Is provide a talented person an opportunity to work at their craft. And if you are in this industry, you have 4 people, 5 people, sometimes 6 people that deserve a shot. Give them a break. Give them more than 1 line. Give them more than 5 lines. Give them a piece of meat to hang their hat on. You know, let them show you your chops. And for me, everything I'm doing right now, I do in order to add a little value to humanity. I am illustrating a book for my sister called Gotta Get the World Ready for You. It's a coffee table book. You guys have seen some of the drawings that have been posted on Facebook with some of the quotes. I opted to illustrate it myself. Hopefully I'll get them all 23 drawings done by the end of next month and have the book out before the summertime. It's one of those books that if you're a coach, you're a mentor, you're a parent, you're going through something or transition, being promoted, transferring, starting your own job, this is the book that is like the Dr. Seuss book, All the Places We Will Go. This is my version of that book of we got to get the world ready for you. The world's just not ready because you have greatness within you. So that's what we're doing. I'm Kevin McLemore. We're signing off with Naheem Garcia, Denise Lopes, Andrea Lyman, Ife and David, and some of the other people. We missed you. We look forward to coming back. We'll have a quote that's coming back next week. I don't know where it's going to come from. It'll come from one of the 4 people, the 6 people that come on here. But to our listeners, we'd like to have you. So you're more than welcome to go on RMK Productions and Network and subscribe and follow Sunday Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. Or you can send us an email if you would like to be a guest on here at info@rmkproductions.org. And we'll be more than happy to send you the link. We had it on Facebook, we out there, but everyone is welcome. Just bring a positive vibe. We don't do drama here. And everyone's on camera, everyone talks. And like I said, I've been blessed. I'm changing, I'm growing. And this is my water to my soul with my team here. And with that said, we'll fade to black. And good night until next week.
Yay. Can I take a picture of all of us? Let me see.
You can take a picture.
Oh, are you smiling?